I would like to invite our guest speakers to start with the panel discussion. I would also like to invite Mr. Gopal Anand to moderate the session.
Hello, I would invite all our guest speakers to start with panel discussion on next-gen manufacturing in pharma. Hello, coming to Mr. Guru Prasad, what ways or the how next-gen pharma manufacturing is leveraging advanced technologies to transform the pharmaceutical industry?
I would say that in case of pharma, with respect to the Indian context, when it comes to advanced technologies specific to robotics and automation, I can speak of. So specific to robotics and automation, the pharma industry is doing the right thing by asking the OEMs who are supplying the hardcore equipments of any pharma manufacturing setup, for example, the OEMs who are into tablet manufacturing, to also integrate automation through their own automation team. As I was mentioning earlier, the pharma companies are doing a smart thing by engaging the OEMs who are delivering the standard equipment which they use to integrate automation along with the equipment. Without naming a client or without naming the OEM, I would quote an example where an OEM were asked to improve the efficiency or productivity of their machine from around 800 tablets per minute to 1600 tablets per minute by introducing automation. So we collaborated with this OEM in providing a solution which was in the similar terms both customized and standardized. I would say customized in the sense the way in which the tablets were flow wrapped, in the way in which the tablets were collated and put into the monocartons were customized, but the equipment as such which was being used, the hardcore robot, was standardized. So the Indian pharma industry in that way is adopting a lot of innovative technology, but India has always been, will always be known in the future also for a lot of jugaad. So Indian pharma industry is smart enough to not invest too heavily, do a little bit of jugaad here and there, and make automation work in the most cost-effective way possible. So it's high tech at very low cost of investment, I would say.
Mr. Guru Prasad, coming to you again. How does increasing robot uses in manufacturing enhance productivity for logistics and manufacturing operations?
In a very broad sense, I'll come from the perspective of how automated we are as a country. So when it comes to robotics, we measure the automation in terms of a parameter called as robot density. Basically, robot density is, in layman terms, it's number of industrial robots per 10,000 associates working in the manufacturing industry. It doesn't involve the labor force which comes into the casual area. It comes into the labor force. It counts labor force which into the formal area, rather than the casual area. So a few years back, we were this parameter. We were in low single digits. I would say we are still in single digits only, but high single digits. And in fact, in this parameter, we are lower than a country, for example, like Iran. Of course, we cannot compare the population of India and Iran, but from the specific terms of how automated any country is becoming, this is a decent number to estimate. So from that perspective of robot density, going from a low single digit to I would say a higher single digit, maybe about 7 or 8 currently. Why people are going for robotics is because it improves the productivity without compromising on the safety aspects, without compromising on the hygiene aspects, and without compromising on the aspects related to traceability, which is very important for pharma. So more or less, combining the robot density part and combining the automation and productivity part, I would say it's a unique solution which has been utilized for decades together now. And this unique solution is being made more unique with the help of high-end sensors, with the help of 2D and 3D vision, and with the help of AMRs, AGVs, which I believe our co-panelist Nitin will be speaking about. So automation is here to stay, increase the productivity, improve the quality, hygiene, and at the same time improve the traceability is what I would summarize as an answer.
So, Mr. Nathing, I was just getting the views of Mr. Guru Prasad on how does increasing robotic uses in manufacturing enhance productivity for logistics and manufacturing operations. So what are your views about it?
So I think that is a question which everyone asks, right? What I would say that, like most things, there is no simple answer. And it really depends on the type of use case that you're dealing with. Now, if the idea is that it's a drug which can be made at, let's say, ambient temperature, there isn't much complexity involved. I would say conveyor systems would be the cheaper and a better way to do it, because it might provide a faster throughput, and it might be more economical. But yes, there are cases in which there are temperature sensitive APIs which need to be developed. There needs to be minimal human interaction which needs to be with the product. And the shop floor might be that, you don't want to basically restrict the access of anything on the shop floor with conveyors. Then I think AGVs, AMRs are the way to go, because you're able to free up the floor. These products can actually move from one place to another without hindering anything. And then a lot of, I think, more state of the art manufacturing locations, and which is not just pharma, by the way. AMRs are currently being used.
Coming to Mr. Nitin again, how do you
Yes.
see innovations in automation and data analytics role in the growth of pharmaceutical manufacturing?
Yeah, so I think see, the hardware part of it will take us only a certain way, right? What we truly believe is actually the main KPI, or the real brain actually is the software, and the major part of the software in today's day and age is data analytics. So in terms of, and with respect to pharma industry in general, I think there is a lot of sorry. I think in terms of the pharma industry, there is a lot of regulations which relate to management of data electronically, understanding what are the different readings at different part of the value chain at the time of manufacturing of any medicine. How do you do serialization? How do you divert? How do you make decisions on the factory line are very important, which are primarily done through data analytics only. So the software which actually drives the entire thing is much more important, I think, after a certain point of time than the hardware itself.
Mr. Guru Prasad, what would you like to add to it regarding the innovations in automation data analytics role?
As the saying goes, data is a new oil. I believe this has been saying from the times the likes of Google and the Facebooks and the LinkedIn's of the world use their data to sell more. That is the first thing, and also they helped us in different ways to, I would say, I would not say lead a better quality of life, but I think perceivably lead a better quality of life. But the importance of data and data analytics in, especially in the manufacturing world, can be even better emphasized, because the data which is being generated, whether it is a level 1 of automation, which is the sensors, level 2 of automation, which is PLCs, or level 3s of automation, which is SCADAs, and then to the cloud, and then from the cloud to complex algorithms in which this data can be made more sense of. The importance of data and the data generating mechanisms are cannot be emphasized more. Specifically, when we speak about the automation part, the data which we capture, for example, the data which we take from a 2D or a 3D vision system, is being utilized for machine learning. Using this data, for example, the robot is sorting out products from a bin. Then this data is being utilized for recognizing new products which are coming in, and identified new ways of gripping this particular product and how to sort it out, what to do with this product, taking decisions. And then, of course, machine learning will lead to artificial intelligence going ahead. So the importance of data and data analytics accentuated with the help of automation cannot be overemphasized. It is already a very critical part of any manufacturing operation.
What are you are talking about artificial intelligence. What are your views about AI and Internet of Things shaping the future of pharmaceutical production?
AI, I think one of our speakers, I think it was Ravi Kiran, who mentioned about digital twins. So AI, the conversation on AI naturally leads to digital twins, because there is a specific limitation to usage of AI in pharma, especially when I speak about the automation part of pharma. But with the help of digital twins, and AI combined, the limitation is quite limited. I would say the limitation is gone almost, I would say. So when we speak about AI combined with digital, what I mean to say is that it's as good as you have your entire factory on your computer. So whatever happens in your factory, whether it is an mixing error or whether it is a tracking error, you are able to see it live onto the digital twin on your computer. And whatever changes you do on a computer, with the help of Internet of Things or high-speed connection thanks to 5G and other possibilities, you are able to implement that change in real time in your factory equipment. So the enhancement of connection speeds, whether it is because of 5G or whether it is because of optical fiber cables and connected equipment with the help of digital twins, is something which is already revolutionizing the way in which we run the plants, the way in which we maintain the equipment, the way in which we are able to predict the maintenance requirements, and the way in which we are able to bring it back into action in case of any failure. In case of ABB specific to robotics, we have been running something called as a digital operation center for the last 3 years. And especially during COVID times, it helped us a lot, wherein we are able to track the service level of our products in real time. What time a complaint came and what time an engineer was assigned, and by what time the problem was attended, and even during attending the problem, what kind of a problem it was, whether it was software or electrical or mechanical, depending on the category of the problem, how much time it was taken to rectify it, and how we can continuously improve it. So all these are thanks to data. So I conclude once again by saying that data is definitely the new oil.
And it's a very vital statement. Data is the new world. So, what are your comments, Mr. Nitin, about the AI and IoT playing a role for pharmaceutical?
IoT is much higher at their in terms of pharma manufacturing, and IoT can be as simple as let's say if I'm creating an API, creating a formulation. Uh, can I get feed from sensors that whether the temperature inside the vessel is the correct temperature which I want, and is it not just temperature at one point but temperature at different places inside the vessel, is it correct as per my spec? Is the, let's say, the RH of the facility is as per spec? When I'm filling the bottles, when I'm packaging the product, are the difference in the weight or the weight error which I'm, and once I get a feed of all of these different sensors, how can I actually make correct decisions? So, for example, if I identify that one particular bottle on the entire line is underweight, then can I track that bottle and can I eliminate that bottle out of the packaging area so that it doesn't go out to the customer? Or let's say if a bad batch is created, it doesn't go out to the customer and creates a lot of trouble for both the customer and for the company. So I think IoT in that term is much more widespread, is much more commonly used. AI, I think it is used quite a lot as a buzzword. I'm not really sure whether it has been implemented to a certain extent in a factory setup as it should be. I think currently the way the things are, it has a greater application at the API development stage, because you see, AI at the end of the day is a artificial intelligence which is able to perform actions which it is not specifically coded to do, right? So then, I think majority of the, at least the monitoring systems are still very complicated but rule-based systems. That if a certain spec goes above, then you do this. If a certain spec goes below this, you do that. But AI, I think, is still much more prevalent at the development stage, and not so much at the manufacturing stage. So I think once it comes, I think it might open the gate to much more what do you call greater level of decision making in the manufacturing space. But I have at least personally not seen it that much, at least in my experience. Maybe my friends from ABB and Dassault can also add to this.
Mr. Guru Prasad, coming to you, how far manufacturing is bringing efficiency improvements for production processes from pharma equipment perspective?
I think the way in which the efficiency is being measured, or some people call it as efficiency, or some people call it as technical availability, is basically if we have 22.5 hours to run equipment, and out of this 22.5 hours, it produces, let us say, 20 million pieces of whatever product it's supposed to produce. Instead of 20 million, it's supposed it produces, let us say, for the sake of estimation, it produces 18 million. So it is 90% efficient, is what people call it as. So when we speak about the newer technologies, especially when we speak about automation, the core reason for introducing automation, I would not say it's specific to robotics, whether it is conveyor-based automation, whether it is introducing AMRs and AGVs. The entire intention is to go from 90% to 95, 96, 97, 98, whatever is best possible. That is the intention behind. So from that perspective, whichever pharma client which we visit in the need of automation, their core objective is efficiency improvement. And that is how they get their return of investment also, by improving the efficiency and productivity. Is what my brief answer would be.
Yeah, that's quite a nice brief. Would you like to add, Mr. Nitin?
Yeah, so I think Mr. Guru Prasad mentioned it quite fairly. The idea is that how are you, in fact, there is another way of looking at it is, let us say that there is a particular building, it's a box, right, in which a particular manufacturing is happening. Then how can I maximize the number of output which goes out of that particular box in a day, in an hour, and so on and so forth. And that is really the efficiency for us. So within that same amount of time, with let's say the same number of manpower, how can I increase the throughput of a particular manufacturing location is what efficiency is for us. And what we try to do is we try to do it in two ways. One is that we try to eliminate any constraints which are there in the system. So let's say if it is a completely manual process, let's say the formula has to be passed from one A to B to C, right? Then how can we increase the speed of this entire process? So let's say reduce the time between processes. If there are any bottlenecks, that how do we eliminate these bottlenecks in the system? And that is typically how we deal with this.
Mr. Ravi Kiran, I would ask you one thing. What suggestion will you make in planning a strategy for transporting pharma equipment and drugs to address supply chain challenges?
Okay, this is logistics problem. I mean, whatever I have covered is more in-plant production planning and detailed scheduling. Logistics and distribution planning is altogether a different animal altogether, and probably it would take a different another session to cover that. But again, I think I agree and I concur with the views that Nitin's presentation he presented. The logistics planning where it is very similar to the FMCG industry in terms of milk runs. How do you optimize your best routes to deliver to your retailers and warehouses and all of that. So it is a complex optimization puzzle. It is not just about planning, it is about optimizing by taking into consideration. You have to first step in this is to have your entire distribution planning network diagram. So where are your warehouses, where are your retailers, and what is your daily traffic and daily deliverable volumes, right? And then you put that into an optimizer and identify what are the best ways of distributing the goods. Also, the logistics poses another important aspect to the organizations from the sustainability standpoint. It is not just a profitability imperative, but also if you run these trucks and these delivery vehicles and all of that, it is a huge, not just the cost for the organization, but also they may lose some points in terms of their sustainability indicators because that's a fuel burned. So that's also another dimension that they have to look at. So it is altogether a different puzzle. The first step is to do a network design diagram, put all your pieces in place and say what is the best optimum routes, what are the best optimum quantities to carry, and what are the best optimum volumes to produce for that particular things. So it's a different problem altogether from what I have presented today.
Mr. Nitin, if you would like to continue with your presentation.
I can at least talk about what is there, what are the different things which we look at, right? I think the last time which we left was we discussed the last time when we left we discussed that there are the type of challenges which the pharma industry faces are quite similar to other industries. But what is unique about the pharma industry in general is the type of processes, regulations which are required, which is what makes it extremely unique and very ripe for different types of automation, right? So there were two types of I think major challenges which I wanted to address at least in this presentation was that through automation and through technology in general, how do we at least solve the biggest problems of the pharma industry, and the first one of that being hygiene and traceability, right? Because the idea is that these are products which one consumes with the idea that they will make them better, and these are complicated chemical formulations, or in some cases, biological products which are developed. So how do I make them in a manner that they are correctly made as per spec? And how do I, in the process of manufacturing them, ensure the utmost amount of hygiene? And then when I'm manufacturing them, how do I ensure that there is a certain amount of traceability throughout the process? So that the idea is that if I have the process correct, I will be able to have the output right. Right. So that is the idea. At least in the first part, I think a lot of it is done through different IoT, Internet of Things, and I think if I'm not wrong, Mr. Prasad also mentioned this. There are different types of sensors, PLCs, and SCADA systems which help us to do this. So they can help us in monitoring the temperature. They can help us monitoring in humidity and all of the different environment conditions which are there, which are required. The another big part of at least the traceability part in pharma manufacturing comes from serialization. So there are, let's say, a company which manufactures 100 different APIs. They might actually have thousands of different raw materials to take care of, right? So how do I ensure that I'm always at every time putting the correct product in the correct amount, in the correct type of environment? So that is a big challenge. So serialization of each and every item is, I think, a no-brainer which goes. And having a proper checklist and a process list is very important. So in a lot of companies, what happens is that, let's say, when a person is feeding the raw material into a particular batch, everything is recorded. From, let's say, there might be a certain amount of login which might be required. I think most of the companies have moved away from any paper-based system. So they try to have everything through a barcode, through an RFID tag, and so on and so forth. And they're able to have systems which, in case of any over excess or under feeding of any of the products, are able to stop uh, the process to ensure that there is no contamination of the product, right? And then there are a lot of different regulations, and that this is something which we've also discussed with our clients. That they say that this is the industry which requires, let's say, CFR compliant regulations, GMP regulations. So it is very important for any company who's approaching clients like this to have these kind of basic processes so that they're able to cater to this particular industry. And the second part which I wanted to touch upon was related to the overall place that pharma has in the Indian context, is that we are one of the biggest manufacturers of pharmaceuticals in the world, not just looking after the demand of or domestically, but globally as well, right? How do we deal with a high amount of throughput in this field and be able to repeatedly create processes and products to ensure that every bottle of or every pill which we create conforms to the certain standard? So uh, how do we make sure that the processes which we implement are first time right? How do we ensure that there are certain type of inspections which are put in, now be it manual or be it, let's say, advanced type of inspections through vision based systems? How do we do preventive maintenance of the equipment which we are running becomes very important. So these were some of the few things which I wanted to discuss actually.
I would like to thank all our panelists for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's next gen manufacturing and pharma. We hope you have enjoyed the session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, I would like to thank Mr. Ravi Kiran, Mr. Nitin, and Mr. Guru Prasad. I would also like to thank Mr. Gopal Anand for taking this initiative.